Well, hello everybody. Everybody who's watching. You can see that in my grasp here, I have a classical guitar, and it's something that I've always quite enjoyed to play, though I did take pretty much a 10 or 11 year break from it whilst I was doing other things, such as messing about with cars and not really having the energy left over whilst working to do any of it, and backache, or more specifically sciatica. What I was finding is that I sit down and I could sit down for like just a couple of minutes and suddenly I'd shooting pains at my back. So I just kind of thought it's one of those things that as much as I enjoyed it and as much as I put loads and loads of effort into it in the past, I'm never really going to come back to it and do it as well as I could do before. But now I'm beginning to think slightly differently, because here I am sat on the bottom step of the stairs where my knee is properly raised up. So I'm not having to compromise how I'm sitting too much, and I'm finding that I can sit and play for quite a bit longer like this. But the thing is, could I really get back to playing as well as I did do before? Not that I was anything amazing, but I was very, very prolific. But I could sit and practice for many hours every day. In fact, I used to go out looking for restaurants to play in. And I didn't have any great success because I didn't stick at it for too long, because at the time I was also teaching guitar. And I found that I take my briefcase, the same briefcase that you see me carrying around now, full of sheet music. And I had a collapsible stand, I think. Did I have a collapsible one? I'm not sure it was this one. I used to just carry separately. No, it couldn't have been. That'd have been far too much to carry. It must have been one I could fit in my case. Yeah. And a footstool. And I could play for 3 hours. 3 hours without repeating myself. A lot of that would be stuff I knew from memory, and then as I just gradually played through pieces over and over again, I could sight read it. Not necessarily that well, but then again, there was that much ambient sound in these restaurants that I could get away with really just going, and that's it. But oh shit! It's just as well it's not precious, is it? It's really not. It's really not a precious guitar. Although I appreciate it. I had this one given to me about 5 years ago, because the one I used to have, which was a much more expensive piece, got stood on by one of my little people who, it's my own fault because I left it on the floor. I just left it on the kitchen floor one evening. That does sound like a really stupid thing to do, doesn't it? Leaving your guitar just on the floor. But I used to do it quite a lot. There was enough room on the floor, and anyway, and she stood on it and properly wrecked the soundboard, and I thought it was never going to get fixed. A shame. It's a nice guitar, that, as well. Anyway, recently I've been revisiting some of the tunes I've made up and relearning them. Just watching what it was I did at the time on my old videos and figuring out how to play them and trying to make them better. And that's not exactly easy. Anyway, I stumbled across this guitar player on Instagram the other day who is utterly amazing. Just blown away by this young lady. She's a Russian guitar player, a Russian classical player, who's been playing since the age of 5, and she's only 26 now. And the technique and the sound and just it was. She's the most astonishing guitar player that I think I've ever seen. And I end up thinking, what's the point? What's the point in me doing this? I'm never going to achieve what she can do. And I was already teaching guitar when she was born. Anyway, that's the difference between starting and continuing and actually being about as good as you could possibly be at a particular thing. That's really it. She's called Vera. I can't remember her second name, but she's Russian and just unbelievable. But then A day later I thought, well, why should that stop me? Why should it stop me? I'm not trying to compete with anybody else anyway. I've never thought, oh, one day I'll be as good as Julian Bream or Norbert Kraft. Never stopped me from wanting to play, so it's not going to stop me now. 2007 and 2008 were the really creative times for me on guitar. Although I was playing quite a bit before that, that's when I started YouTube. And I just had the urge to just keep on playing, keep on writing. One thing I wrote was this thing called Ghost Story. I couldn't remember my own tune. I never did a video on it because I made it before doing the video. I just recorded it. But I've used it a couple of times on videos as well. And I was never entirely satisfied with how I got to play it. And I'm going to start off with that one and try and really nail the changes, because it's a simple tune, but getting from one chord to the next without a scratchy sound, it's really quite awkward. So rather than just trying to go through it all at full speed, I'm going to take it much more slowly. And it starts off with the wrong note, which is basically this. The devil's chord. It's that change from there, get into there without any kind of break. And that chord, those chords there, actually moving that finger whilst not interrupting the others is really quite awkward. There we go. Right, just can you see what I mean about it catches ever so slightly? And there's one thing, the practice of having your nails just right is another tricky thing, because at the moment, stand up. No, don't follow. Stand up there like that. A classical guitar will just stand up on the floor if you get it just right. This one doesn't seem to want to do it. My old one used to be fine with it. No, it's not as well balanced as the old one then. It's not just these nails. These nails need to be kept just proud of the end of your fingers and really, really smooth. So it looks very effeminate. A man sanding his nails. It's not just sanding, it's then polishing them. And on this one, if they're sticking out at all, they'll get in the way, they'll snag. So I feel like I've got quite a lot to do, because I've got to get back in the habit of keeping the nails right and not ruin them whilst messing around with cars. And it's very, very easily done. You can so easily just snag a nail. We replaced the head on my 220 GTI because it had burnt a valve out, and snagged a nail. And I super glued it back because I didn't want it to stop me from playing, because otherwise you snag it, it's broken, and you've got maybe 3 weeks before you can play again. And that is plenty enough time to actually just give up and not bother anymore. And I don't want that to happen. So here's my plan. I'm going to carry on playing pieces like that, and just, you won't hear that again until that's properly bang on. And other ones I wrote, and create new. I'm going to carry on writing pieces for my videos, because that's the thing. It's the most authentic music you can create. It's something on an instrument that you actually play. Even the keyboard, it's got digital sounds. So although I'm making up the music on there myself, and rhythmically it's never going to be perfect because it's done by a human being, it's still not quite the same as an actual touch of an instrument. And that's why I prefer it. And that's why I don't like AI music as well, by the way. So I'm going to do that, do lots of metronome practice, Lots of properly slowing things down, getting the nuances just right, and then sight reading. Loads and loads of sight reading, so I can get a big repertoire yet again. I do have a couple of boxes about that big, plastic boxes, just full of sheet music. And honestly, I never played the whole lot, but I did play a good chunk of it. So there we go. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope to do more with the progress in the future. Bye.